Hi everyone! Hello again, welcome to my channel. This is Felicia. For those who are new, and the other guys, you know my name. This is my channel of my cringeworthy content, and you're welcome to watch the shit show. So, today I'm gonna do my makeup, and I am going to tell you about how and why during my school years I switched to 5 different schools. Yep, 5 different schools. Starting with the fact that, you know, I'm from Moldova. It's a bit different where I'm from. I mean, especially that in the city that I grew up in, there's loads of schools, because come on, it's a city. It's not a megapolis, as I said before, but it's a city. The thing is that in our country, it doesn't matter where you live, like in what district, in what part of the town you live. You can go to any school you want, register there and go to that school. So, you know, if you move to a different neighborhood, you don't have to switch schools. You can just stay to the same school. You'll just have to travel a different distance or something like that. Because I mean, we're, at least when I grew up, it wasn't that strict. I mean, kids would use public transport from the very fucking first grade. So I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, but to be honest, I wasn't allowed to go to school by myself until I think I was 10. Yeah, until I was 10. That's 4th grade in Moldova. Usually you're in 4th grade. When I went to school, to my first school, to primary school and stuff like that, because like before that you go to kindergarten or nursery or something like that. It's not really a nursery, it's like preschool stuff. I don't remember much about that time. Well, obviously, how old was I? Because we usually go to preschool until we're 6, and the standard age to go to school is 7. I mean, we had like different situations in when some of the kids were a year older or some of the kids were a year younger, because and especially it wasn't, some of them, you know, went earlier to school because they were gonna hit 7 during the school year in the first couple of months, or some of them would already be 7 and they would turn 8 the year and like right the next year, because you know the school year starts in September. It doesn't start in January, so the age changes from one half a year to another half a year and stuff like that. Lucky me, my birthday, I don't know if I've seen any other videos, but it's like on the 27th of August. That's right before school. So yeah, I had 7 right before school. Went to this Lyceum it was a Lyceum's primary school. It was kind of considered one of the prestigious schools in town. It was called Mircea, named because of one of great Romanian writer, and it has its own history because it was like in 2 buildings. So the primary school was in one side of the town center, and the middle school and high school was in another side. And the middle school and high school is where the actual building and school was founded. I think it was a school for boys at first. The name didn't change ever since. I don't remember much about the history of it, but because this is not about these schools that I went to, but about the fact that I went to 5 of them. So this was the first one. I went to 1st grade. I was just a kid. We were all friendly with each other. There weren't really bullies or anything like that. Who the fuck bullies like 6-year-olds? We didn't have like problems like that anywhere. And we didn't have any, I don't know, no one really picked on me or anything like that. We all grew together. I would be more friends with the boys than with the girls. And I knew one of the girls from the very before I met her before I went to first grade because I was going to music school. Yeah, you can send your kid to music school when he's 6 to learn how to play piano. And yeah, I was learning how to play piano for 5 years, or yeah, almost 5 years or something like that. But that's a different story. And it was all nice and okay. Well, apart from the fact that, you know, kids are kids. We have kind of a, I don't know, was the curriculum here, like until I won't have my own kids, I won't find out for myself, but life is life and it is the way it is. But the thing is that like we usually had homework every single day since first grade. Since the first year, you get grades. You get evaluated from 1 to 10, so the 10 is maximum, and usually no one really got 1. Usually like 2 was the lowest, because no one really used 1. Or 4 was really bad as well. You needed to do like your homework almost every single day, and it was writing, math, like basics, like 1 + 1 and shit like that. Because in the first half a year we didn't even do 1 + 1, I think, or at least in the first couple of months. It's like we would do like greater than and greater equal and stuff like that, you know. We just understand the value of numbers, learn how to write them and everything, you know, and to count properly, because they didn't, even though, you know, some kids now at preschool learn to add and multiply and things like that, but even if you didn't go to preschool, because some kids just didn't, they would teach you all from the very beginning, because I mean, preschool is not mandatory. School is, preschool isn't. I don't know if everywhere is this way, but it just saying. I lived in the city, but sometimes if there was a kid from a very small village and there wasn't any preschool, maybe they didn't go to preschool, so it wasn't like mandatory. Though school is mandatory. Yeah, and that was the year 2000. Yeah, it was 7 years. Well, apparently. Of course I was. Do the math. You'll find out how old I am. Everything was okay, apart from the fact that, you know, there were grades and homework and everything, and I never had homework in preschool, because no one really had homework in preschool. If we did some activities there, we didn't really, mostly played. Yeah, sometimes we read, and it was read to us, but, you know, we didn't have to. We didn't have to do anything at home. We were like little children. I think you go from preschool, you go from 3. I think you go when you're 3, and then you stay there until you're 6. That's kind of the fun fact about it. And the school wasn't really far away. It was in walking distance, like 20 minutes of walk or something like that, 15 minutes, because it was like really, really close. But there were a lot of streets to cross, and I think that's why kind of my mom would always take me to school, because my mom didn't work when I was in primary school. And because of that, she would take me to school daily. I didn't like to do homework, wasn't really interested. Oh yeah, and in every class, we were like 30 to 40 people in every class, and there would be like a couple of classes in the same year, you know, that was in parallels. We were calling them parallel classes, because they were like your grade, your 1A, 1B, or 1C. That's how they were dividing us. I don't remember which channel I was, because I don't know, I don't have my school photos now or anything like that, you know, the school yearbook, because we usually didn't do them yearly. Yeah, we had them in primary school. We would usually do them when we would finish primary, when we finished secondary or gymnasium and high school. But I don't think I have a yearbook when I was in high school. Doesn't matter. So, stop talking about yearbooks. The only thing is that I didn't really like to do my homework, but my mom would always take care of that, to sit right next to me every time when I do my homework and check on me that I'm doing my homework. a lot of times she would expect for me to do my homework. I'm not sure. I think she did work. Wasn't sure definitely. She was going somewhere sometimes right after she would bring me back from school, and I think she was going shopping, like pick up some things for the house or stuff like that. I'm not sure what she was doing. When I was coming from school, I wasn't doing my homework because I don't know, I was in school all day. I was reading, doing everything and stuff like that. Doing everything, and I wasn't in a mood to do my homework. Come on, what kid is? So I would eat, I would play, and sometimes I would take a nap. Once that my mom gave me to do some of my homework right after school, like I think it was one of the first weeks, or I don't remember when it was specifically, but once I actually fell asleep on my copybook while doing my homework. That was a funny thing. And so after I did that, I don't think it ever happened to me again. Sometimes I would fake it. I don't know why my mom expected me to do my homework when I was coming right after school. Not in the mood for that. So I would start doing it like around 4 o'clock or 5, kind of evening, you know. It was always a struggle. I wasn't the best student in class or anything like that. I mean, I wasn't stupid or anything because I had an understanding of mathematics, so I could implement easily like formulas and stuff like that. Sometimes I would need like a little bit more attention because if I wouldn't understand something, I would need to be then explained, just because I would miss out on some things. But yeah, not forgetting the fact that I'm dyslexic, and people like that don't exist in my country. Just like Russia has a similar problem.
Are you gay?
No, of course not. I'm Russian.
No.
There are no gay people in Russia.
Maybe now it's studied more and people pay attention to it, but it was like shameful to be different. It was shameful to go to a psychologist or a therapist. All that shit was considered shameful. Up until I went until the 4th grade, like I wasn't writing really fast because I had really nice calligraphy. Like I had some beautiful handwriting when I was a kid up until I was 10. But because of that, because I was trying to write it properly, like all calligraphically and everything, I wasn't writing fast enough. So my calligraphy went to shit when I realized that it's better to write faster than nicer. But we were graded on both, but who fucking gives a shit? And honestly, until this day, I have a fucked up, terrible handwriting. Fun fact is, no one else would understand what the fuck I wrote, but I know what it says. I fucking know what it says. But I know what I write, even if no one in the world would ever understand what I wrote. Especially at uni, man. As I was telling you about musical school, you know, and the fact that I was going there since I was 6, just because I was going to musical school, it would be like that. I would go to school, then I would go to the musical school, then I would practice the piano and do my homework. It wasn't like every single day. Some days I would just come home, practice the piano, do my homework. It was kind of a lot, so yeah, I liked playing the piano, but I fucking hated learning with my mom because she would like make sure I would practice well on that as well. Because I hated that there were like rules that you needed to put a specific finger and a specific key. That was the thing that I usually hated. I would pick up melodies quite quick. I never really had a problem with that. It was just, you know, reading them out and learning the melody, because sometimes I wouldn't really know the melody, and that's why they're like the notes and everything to give you the tempo. It's like the longer note, the shorter note. But I'm not talking about my musical school, I'm talking about my actual school. So it's usually from 6, or some kids went when they were 7. You could go when you're 7. You can go when at what age you want. But to graduate musical school, because I had an instrument classes, I had solfeggio. I was singing in the choir, so we would work with our voices, we would understand the notes, and we would play an instrument. So it was like actually a school. So different days of the week I would have different kinds of lessons at the musical school, and I would go to my regular school, so I would have homework to do every day for my regular school, and for my musical school I would need to practice the piano, because apart from that they didn't really give us any other homework, I think. Jesus Christ, actually, now that I think about it, I did do a lot of stuff when I was a kid. And I somehow managed to go out and play with the kids. Usually I wouldn't go out. I was allowed to play outside the block without supervision. It's like I just wasn't allowed to go any further from that, just stay play in front of the block, because we had like a playground and trees, and it was like all safe, and there were a lot of other kids, so I wasn't really allowed to go outside during the week because I wouldn't get anything done. And though kids would shout for me, but my mom wouldn't allow me to go out until I did my homework, so I would just mainly refuse, to go out. So yeah, that was pretty much my life. It was home, school, musical school, and Saturday and Sunday I would go out. But most of the times Sunday I wouldn't really go out just because I needed to do my homework. So that was that. Or I would go out, but I wouldn't stay long. I would go like in the morning and then I would go home. And it was kind of like that, now that I remember it. My mom thought that the fact that I was going to musical school distracted me from my actual school, because when you graduate primary school, in my country at least, you kind of have final exam. Just because I didn't like doing it, my mom thought that I didn't get good grades because I don't know what I'm doing. I think I even went to additional classes to perfect myself, like in mathematics and language. Like you have English here, I had it in my language, which was Romanian. I went to additional classes of mathematics and Romanian, and I liked that we had a science class in primary school. Yeah, there weren't that many subjects in school, but oh yeah, and I was always terrible at history. I think we had history from the 2nd grade or from the 3rd grade. Actually, I like history of culture and art, but I'm terrible with dates. Though one of my final exams when I graduated high school was in history. That's interesting fact about me. But it wasn't my strongest thing. Oh yeah, and I as well had English since 1st grade. I think in kindergarten I even had like small English classes. But even though, in the capital most of the kids have English, and one of the final exams when you graduate high school is English. So some of them are French, some of them are English, depends on the profile that you actually choose, or the language that you actually choose, or the profile of the school. Because, for example, my brother went to a francophone school, so his second language in school was French, so it's like kind of strange like that. But even though I learned, and a lot of my colleagues learned, like English from the 1st grade, even though people would give their final exams in English. It doesn't matter, because I don't know how they passed the exam. The fact is that a lot of those people are terrible at English, even though, because I remember when I went to uni, I had an English class in my 1st year. I don't know why. There were colleagues of mine that were having the English class with me, and I was surprised that I was one of the students. Not to brag about it, but it was fucking true. So I wasn't the best student, and my mom thought that the musical school was kind of bothering me, and she decided that I wouldn't be going there. But to graduate musical school, I was supposed to go there for 7 years. at least. So I was supposed to finish it in 6th or 7th grade, but I haven't, because my mom told me that it's better for me to drop out. Though the girl that I went to school with, she finished, she graduated. I don't know, maybe she was better organized than me, but it's actually a lot for a kid, and that's normal. That was always considered normal in our country. I started going to musical school, I started going to additional classes, language and mathematics, and I graduated primary school, and then I went to middle school. And the first year of middle school, yeah, it was shitloads of us. It was 40 something, I think 42 people. And the head teacher of the class, my mom said she didn't really like me, but I don't know why. She was an old woman, so whatever, it's not my problem. There were, of course, like the favorite ones, which were like artists in becoming or things like that, because one of the girls, she would like go to singing competitions, and she's now working on television. And oh yeah, and one of my former classmates as well, she competed for the Eurovision, and the girl that works on television, she presented the Eurovision. I don't know if it was in the same year, if it was in 2 different years. I don't really care. It was kind of like that. So I went for the first year. The fun fact that at the middle school, when I was supposed to go, I was supposed to take the public transport. So I would go take the public transport to go to school. So I would take the public transport, and there was a stop right in front of my school. So I didn't really have to think much about how should I get to school, because it was like 3 stops on the trolley bus, and I lived on the main road, so I needed to go across the street, get on the trolley bus. I don't remember if it was 3, 4 stops. Yeah, voila, I was in front of my school right away. The thing is that I have this whole story about being independent with my public transport, because in the last year of my primary school, I was like kind of fed up, and I felt kind of weird that my mom was always taking me home, and or I think it was my grandmother sometimes that would pick me up, because she used to live with us, bless her soul. And because of that, I was like, a lot of kids like come from other sides of town on public transport, and I always have to wait for my mom, especially in 4th grade, and I wasn't living that far, and I was already knowing how to cross the street. I was 10 years old. It's normal to know how to circulate around the town and things like that when you're 10 years old, and to use public transport and to be a bit independent. I don't know how are kids today and what are the regulations today, but it was normal in our days. And that's that. So one morning, I told everyone that I'm gonna come home alone, and no one took me seriously. What usually happened in the morning? My brother was getting ready for school. My mom was helping my dad get ready to go to work. That was the thing. Oh yeah, sometimes my dad would drive me to school if he would need to get out of the house at the same time as me. Like, I was saying it, but I think no one heard and took it seriously. Because I was saying, Mom, I'm coming home to school alone today. Don't come after me. And she said, okay. But I think she didn't even hear what I said to her. So I said that to Dad. I'm sure if anyone would have taken that seriously, they would have allowed me. They would actually let me do it or wouldn't let me do it. I wasn't sure, because I thought I told my mom that I'm doing it. I thought everyone knew, so no one would look for me. What did I do after school? I didn't go straight home. I told everyone in my class that I'm going home alone. I was mostly friends with the boys, and they said that, hey, we're going to the arcade. Want to go to the arcade with us? I was the only girl, and I think it was 4 or 5 boys usually from my class. We went to the arcade. It was like right across the street from my school, and we would go and play Tekken, and there was another game that it had like more of a fantasy vibe than a martial arts vibe, but I don't remember. Maybe I'll insert a picture of it, but I don't remember the name of that game, unfortunately. Instead of going home after school straight away, I went to the arcade for an hour or two. I don't remember. Like, we didn't have a lot of money, so once we were out of money, we would go home. Because that was that. And it's not surprising, you know, because we were kids, we didn't have a lot of money, so whatever was left from our lunch money, we would spend it at the arcade. I think my mom went to look for me at school, and I think I told my teacher that I went home, and I'm going home alone. And she told my mom that I'm going home. Everyone was looking for me around the neighborhood because they were kind of terrified that something happened to me. They weren't sure and they didn't know. Everyone was panicking pretty much because I went home. I said I'm going home. I was gonna go home, but I stopped at I went to the arcade first. I didn't have a cell phone. I was fucking 10 years old. I think I went after 2 hours, I went home, and everyone was so fucking scared that something happened to me, and they were like, where were you? What happened to you? I was like, we were looking everywhere for you. I was like, why? I told you I'm coming home alone. The arcade was in a mall, and the mall was right across the street from my school, and I said I went to the mall to play some games with the boys from my class, and that was that. And everyone had a really big scare that time. Yeah, but after that I graduated and everything, and I had to use public transport, and it was easy to get there. So the first year, you know, middle school, it was kind of okay, but it wasn't. I mean, it was bigger, it was stranger, it was like I had more freedom, kind of. There were already kids that were skipping class in freaking middle school, Jesus. And I was thinking, oh, that's such a bad thing to do when you skip class and you don't go to your lesson. So, and I thought that skipping class was such a bad thing to do, because if you don't go to school, it's like really bad. Well, you know, the usual thing that you would say as a kid, that skipping class is bad. You know, like drugs are bad, not going to school is bad. You have to be responsible. The first year was kind of okay. I kind of learned myself around it. It wasn't too hard, so I kind of managed with everything. It was different because at primary school, you know, I could, if we have had different teachers that would, you know, teach us different subjects, like we had a different teacher for history, and I don't remember, and for music, and for English. They would come to our class. We wouldn't move around the school at all. This way we didn't even get to talk or meet with, you know, other classes a lot, because we didn't move around a lot. We didn't move a lot around the school because that we were like more contained. But I don't know, maybe I mean, everyone went to the canteen and got themselves food and stuff like that, so I didn't eat that often at the canteen. We were in school day wasn't that long, and I usually had breakfast. And even though I had breakfast, sometimes I would go and get myself like a bun or a roll, or we had like sweet pretzels. They were fresh and still, you know, soft. And instead of salt, they would have sugar on them, sprinkled, and those were my favorite ones. I still like sugary pretzels. I don't know, that's a thing from Moldova. Because I think pretzels are German, aren't they? I don't know if Germany has sweet pretzels, but we have them, and instead of salt crystals, there are sugar crystals on them. Then when I went to middle school, it was kind of different, because I needed to move around the school to find the class, to know where the class is, to follow the schedule, to know the schedule, and, you know, manage all of that. And we were a lot of kids. We were like 40 something, and it was kind of hard. Especially, you never knew who would get asked for what and why. My head teacher of our class, she thought she was so fucking progressive. She was her specialty was like Romanian, like the language. She would teach the language, and I would almost never do my homework for that class because she wouldn't check our homework, but most of the time she wouldn't even grade us for our homework, but she would give us homework, but she would ask, you know, she usually made it this way that she thought that it was interactive, but I don't know, I didn't find it fun at all. Maybe if I would have been older, I would have been more interested. She made kids sit in groups because she made all the desks like four desks all together, like, and in a class of 40 people, it was like 10 groups, and it was like, I think 10 groups or 20 groups, because sometimes, I'm not sure if we were sitting 8 or 4 people at the table, I don't remember. She wouldn't check our homework, she would tell us to give it to our colleague next to us and to check each other's homework and to grade each other. And of course, like as kids, we wouldn't rat each other out, tell on each other, because she would even sometimes forget. Whatever, it was whatever it was. She was whoever she was, the lesson was the way it was. I was kind of getting lost in that environment. There was too many people. I was sitting at the last desk in math class, so I was kind of badly failing math class because I didn't really listen. I didn't really give a shit because, yeah, you're a kid. Who fucking wants to give a shit about school and who takes it seriously? My mom kind of saw that I'm failing, and I didn't want to tell her that I'm failing because I didn't want her to sit next to me when I'm doing my homework, because she started working, so she didn't like always had time to help me do my homework, or I didn't even ask for help or anything like that, because no one really checked that much about or cared that much about our homework in middle school, and that was the thing about it. So I didn't tell my mom. She found out I'm kind of failing and that I don't understand a lot of stuff and I don't give a shit. I didn't want to ask for help because it was kind of a nightmare when in primary school she was helping me to do my homework, because it was usually kind of aggressive, and like she would call me stupid and stuff like that if I wouldn't understand something, or if I would write it wrong, because I would like get tired. I was a kid. Like, I was a kid, and you shouldn't expect more from a kid than that. So that was that. Oh, and the last drop at my school was that I pissed off my biology teacher. She was a pregnant lady. I didn't take the notes from the blackboard because I didn't have enough time and I didn't write that fast. So I didn't really, it was just the fact that I didn't write it down. So I didn't, and she saw that I didn't write it, and she came and she wrote fucking 2 on my copybook, and I just fucking took the page and ripped it out of my copybook. She told me to get out of class, and I went. And she went and complained to the headmaster lady and everything, and that it was, I got out of class. Kids got expelled for the last. I didn't get expelled. I didn't have really good grades. I didn't wanted to ask for help. I didn't want to deal with anything anymore because I kind of was getting lost in all that background. So my mom decided that it's better for me to go to a different school. So I went to a private school. That was close to my house, so I didn't have to take a public transport to school again. It was in a different side of the neighborhood, but it was kind of in the neighborhood because it was like next to the local surgery, where it was a local surgery, so it was like very convenient. Because, yeah, I wouldn't need public transport, it would be easy for me to get home, and blah blah blah. And so I started going there, and that was the year that I started going to art classes as well, as after I switched schools. Or I think I started going to art classes before I switched schools, because I think when I was 12 I went to art classes, because my mom was even happy that I was going to art classes, because she was like saying, she's the kind of parent that she would compare with us with other kids, and she would say it's like, why other kids have time to go to do extracurricular things and have good grades in school, but just you don't like to do anything and are not interested in anything. So my mom was kind of happy that I wanted to go and do something. And I didn't do it just because my mom, if you've listened one of my previous stories, you know that I was just going there because I liked it and because my friend started going and she kind of motivated me to go there. And I went for myself. I didn't went to actually, gain a skill or anything like that. I haven't painted in a long time, actual things, and I wasn't really good at detail work, but like natural more, I'm okay with painting a cattle or, I don't know, a building or, apples, simple things, shades. I hate pencil work. I always loved working with color because it was kind of more easier for me to work with color than with pencil work. Now that I think of it, impressionism, and that's what I thought back then as well. So I went to the private school, and because I went to the private school, it was like different kids, different environments, something was completely different, and I was different because for some reason I was kind of an outcast. I don't know, I was weird for them for some reason. Maybe the kids that I was at school with didn't care or didn't think that I was weird because they grew up with me. For some reason I was always the weird kid since I switched schools for the first time. And there are a lot of kids that were the first year there. Not a lot, because we weren't a lot. We were 10 people in a class. So I was the weird kid. I was doing better in school because the teacher maybe had a little bit more time, and I was paying attention a bit more. And the fact that I didn't really had any friends. Well, there was a girl that I was kind of became friends with, and there was a girl that I used to know outside school that she was kind of friends with me, but she was a year older than me, so she was in a different class. That's why I didn't get to spend a lot of time with her. That was the thing. I dressed weird because I don't know, my mom, when I was a kid, she would dress me in different things, but when I was kind of becoming a teenager, she didn't really know what clothes to buy me, so I would wear not the most fashionable things. I wouldn't really know what to wear because I wasn't buying my clothes. My mom would buy my clothes, and I wouldn't always go with her for her to buy me clothes. She would buy my clothes without even me going with her. I wasn't seriously bullied or anything like that. I would talk shit because I was a kid, I had no social skills. If someone would talk shit to me, I would talk shit back to them, and they were all having cool phones and everything, because it was a private school. Most kids were rich. We were middle class, but not rich, but my parents could afford to pay for the school, but they didn't afford to buy me expensive clothes or expensive phones. And that was true. And that's why kind of most of the kids thought they didn't have anything in common with me. Sometimes there was one girl that I would talk to, well, two girls, Victoria and Victoria. They were like one of the good students in school, and they were alright with me all the time. There was a guy that was always, for some reason, weird around me. Like, there was a guy that was friendly with me. There was another guy that was sometimes friendly, sometimes rude to me. And the other guy that would laugh at me all, I don't know, find what to pick on me and bully me. Because I wasn't like everyone else. That was the whole thing. I didn't have a style, yet I didn't have the latest phone. I didn't say that what I listened to, but I knew that I didn't really like the mainstream pop music. Plus, because especially my brothers were fucking playing Offspring and Nirvana at home, and everyone at school was listening to that shit. I mean, I don't judge everyone. Not that I'm thinking of, you know, pop music 10 years ago was kind of better than now. But sometimes I would listen to modern pop music, ironically, like the WAP. I just like some of the lyrics. It's just fucking crazy. It changed a lot. I don't know. The fact is that my music taste didn't change, so I wasn't interested in most of that. So they were like listening to all their music, and someone would randomly ask, like, whoa, what are you listening to? And I would say, I don't listen to your shitty pop music, I listen to Nirvana. And yeah, that was the 12-year-old me saying that, because I was not of my own choice, but at home I was listening to that music. 'Cause I didn't have like my music or anything like that. We had only one computer in the house when we got one, and we had one, you know what, one of those music blasters and stuff like that, and it was all in my both brothers' room. I didn't have access to that. I would have my hands on it when they weren't there. I wouldn't touch their records because my older brother would fucking always go mental if I would ever touch his stuff. Though he was like, he would always gather some weirdest, strange, like, I don't know, like artifacts and stuff like that. He would have like strange souvenirs from whatever. Like he would, I don't know where from, but he would have like a dog tooth from hell knows where, or a bullet, or a gas mask, or stuff like that, which was kind of cool. That's why I wanted to go into his stuff, and he was always getting angry, and I would touch his shit. Well, he was a teenager as well. What could I do? Of me being in middle school and being the weird kid, and for some reason, like, I was failing at language. Though at mathematics I was okay. I don't know, I was mostly like, didn't give my interest to it, but then kind of that I grew, I got my interest more in the subjects, like in actually learning about biology and learning about science and learning mathematics and learning physics, especially that my parents were physicists and my mom was a physics teacher and my dad is now a physics teacher. My god. He was a professor at university when he was young, but that was the last of his teaching experiences. But because his business isn't working out at the moment, he had to go to work at a school. The Rona got us all in different ways. So I started failing against some other subjects and everything, and because I complained that I got bullied by the some guys, by girls there. They would always look weird at me, and I wasn't like them, and I wasn't like that. And I was there until I was 13, and I kind of started having my own thing, but they still outcasted me, plus the fact that I kind of was turning, I was wearing all solid black since I was kind of 11 going on 12, and I think when I turned 12 kind of I started wearing all black, and I was wearing all time black clothing. And when I was 13 I was turning into my goth self, and that's why it's a subculture, because it's not for everyone, and most of the people didn't share one of my tastes. There was only one dude that listened to heavy metal like Black Sabbath or Metallica. I don't know if you listen to Rage Against the Machine or anything like that, but I was listening to more alternative things at that moment, and grunge, mainly what was kind of popular between what my brother listened to, between people that were interested in the same things. And that was a thing that he was the only guy that I knew that would listen to that stuff. Though we would have like uniforms at school, and you know, I was wearing like black trousers and a blazer, and he would wear a suit, so like you couldn't really tell, like. But I think that was the first school that I had to wear a uniform, and because I had to wear a uniform, I was like, I couldn't really express myself, but most of the time it wasn't mandatory to wear a blazer, but you needed to wear trousers. You weren't allowed to wear shoes. That was the main point. Just because all those things were there, and all that shit happened, that I kind of got a bit bullied, and I wasn't really worried. At some of the subjects, my mom thought, hey, let me send you to a different school. So when I graduated 7th grade, went into the 8th grade, she transferred me to a different school. And I don't know, it was a regular school. It was a state school. I think a lot of kids from my neighborhood went to that school, but we weren't all like the same age, and I wasn't lucky to get any of them in the same class, because my life would have been easier. And yeah, it was like a bus stop away, like trolley bus, because buses and trolley buses were stopping at the same time. A bus stop away from my house. Well, by going with public transport, and I had to go by foot for 7 minutes more or 5 minutes more, something like that. Well, it doesn't matter. It was a little bit lower down the street from the art school that I was attending, so it wasn't a big deal for me, to be honest. And I don't know, puberty happened, my boobs grew, I didn't really know what to do with myself or how to behave. I was wearing low-cut shirts because I saw that boys like it, and I didn't really realize entirely what I was doing. Like big tits, no brain. That was 14-year-old me, and wearing black or leopard print or black and red, black skirts, fishnets, sometimes midi skirts with fishnets, and low-cut shirts, and a leather jacket. Yeah, that was wearing leather jacket, and I would wear high heels, or I would wear black trainers. It was kind of like that. I was that kind of a kid. That was kind of my style that I was wearing. And wore black boots during the winter, because we had real winters back in Moldova. You needed boots with fur lining from the inside, so your feet wouldn't get cold. Because I was kind of behaving like that, and there were like rumors spreading around the school, and I didn't really give a shit about school that much because I found people to hang out with, and those people are still 2 friends from there. It's Inga and Alina. They're still my friends. One of them, I think one of them is in Cyprus. Sometimes she goes back to Moldova. I'm not sure right now. Where is she? And Alina, she lives near to St. Petersburg in Russia now. Life has thrown us into different parts of the world, but you never know how you end up. My mom kind of saw that my grades went down again, so she decided that I can move to a different school. And if I thought that I knew what was bullying, then I was fucking wrong. When I moved to schools, there was one of the guys was from the previous private school that I went to, and that school was like really fucking far away. It was like if that school was one stop away of the school that I attended, like the public state school was one stop away. That school was like 7 stops away in the same direction. So yeah, that was the situation with that. It was in a different part of the town, and I don't know, it's because I was wearing black, or it's because the guy started bullying me just because people would make comments about me when I was back in 6th grade, and he would have been the one that started it, and he had a partner in crime. I would always do it, and they would always fucking laugh at me and pick on me. Fuck knows what reason. I don't know why. I have no idea why they did to me that. Girls didn't really dare to bully me, to be honest. Well, maybe outside school, and that was just because my best friend liked, her classmates didn't really like me, and that was the only moment when someone would actually tell me something, because they, in my opinion, they had no taste in music because they were listening to fucking pop culture and Russian pop culture, which, I don't know, a lot of that shit is terrible. But whatever, to each their own. That was my opinion, and I didn't really give a fuck. But even Russians know most of the Russian rap is shit. But I became better at school and stuff like that. My grades went up, started studying better, started taking interest, because, I mean, if I didn't have friends at school, what else would I have? What I do that I would study. That would be like a girl that I would be, that I was able to hang out with, you know. So I was at that school for like, I don't know, 3 years. So I graduated middle school there, and high school was in the same building. So you don't need to go to different buildings or different parts of the town. So it was all kind of like that, and they bullied me, but I kind of was friends with most of the girls, so it was kind of alright. It was balanced out and shit like that. So, and I would hang out with the girls after school, and yeah, and especially after I started, I was in my last year of middle school. I started smoking and blah blah blah, being a bad girl, bad bitch. I was okay with my grades. I was okay with my studying. I wasn't like the best, but I was okay. I would even skip school. There were I think on Thursdays we had only chemistry, and we had like that school had a specific that it had like lessons, like university length lessons, so they would last like 1 hour and I don't know 20 minutes or how much. So I don't remember how much a university lesson lasts, but not 45 minutes like a regular one, because that's how it was in how much a lesson in school usually takes. So because of that, we had like 2 pairs of we will call them pairs because they last as long as 2 regular academic lessons. That's simple. And because of that, I would go, sometimes I wouldn't go to school on Thursday, sometimes I would just go fucking walking around town, no spending time with myself, window shopping, going for a walk, I don't know, sometimes going to my friend's school instead to hang out with her, and sometimes she would skip school and hang out with me instead of going to her lesson. So pretty much I was kind of okay, but then it kind of got worse with the guys because there were more guys in school. When I graduated middle school, there were some other guys that came to my class, and they all, for some reason, got all together to fucking judge me that I don't have expensive clothes and that for some reason I wasn't worthy or anything. And that was a time, well, when I was in high school, I was already 16, and I told you about what sexual life I had. Weird. I don't really like talking about it, but it kind of happened like it happens to teenagers and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. I started hanging out a lot with one of my classmates, Rita. She's a cool girl actually, but I did some questionable shit. I slept with some guys from my school, but it was the graduate year of high school, you know, the last year, and oh my god, and with his friend as well, but it was a different time, and it was a lot of rumors, and they started, like, a lot of shit started pouring towards me. I was slut-shamed. After I finished the first term, I went to my parents and I said, I am not going back to that school ever again. Like, full stop. Yeah, and then I was transferred to the one that I graduated. It was okay. Yeah. It was Kelowna. It was in the same neighborhood where my friend's school was, so it was always easy for me. If I had lessons, I would meet her, and we would go home together, or not kind of go home together, or go to art classes together often, because I kind of switched my art classes, because I mentioned about that before, and we would go together to art school after school, or we would, or I would just go and meet her, or we would just hang out after school, and then I would go home and she would go home in different directions, because when I was 16, I was already in high school. I was already living at a different neighborhood than I used to live in. I was okay with my classmates. There were no problems. Like, there were just a couple of guys. Two of them, I know that one of them was kind of, I don't know. I don't want to be full of myself or full of shit, but by their behaving, I know that one of them, I don't know if one of them or both of them were kind of in love with me, or wanted me, or were sexually attracted to me. Like, that kind of, you know, they expressed that with their behavior, so I could see that by them. Because we have 3 years of high school, so the second year of high school, which we call it 11, because we call it, like, it's 12 years of school in total, so 1st to 4th is primary, 5th to 9th is secondary, and high school is 10th to 12th. So the ones in the 11th, they were kind of weird about me, because maybe I think someone knew someone from the school that I went prior, and someone told some shit, and they were just acting weird around me for some reason. Maybe they judged me for whatever the fuck it is. I don't know what effect I have on people that they just didn't. I don't know what effect I have on rich kids that they don't fucking like me, but I don't wanna be liked by them. I don't give a shit. Just leave me the fuck alone. Did they had some insecurities that I brought up into their mind? I have no fucking idea. They were boys are stupid. Teenagers in general are fucking stupid. Especially how they treat each other and treat other people. And yeah. I don't know why. But, you know, just because they were they were like a year older and I didn't give a shit about them. The last year, the 12th grade, I don't think they even noticed that there was a new girl in the 11th grade and we weren't communicating, so I don't know. Whatever. It wasn't my interest or anything like that. So, and yeah, so that was finally when I got to a decent school and I finally had a healthy headspace. The 11th graders, like after a year after the 12th year, graduated and I became an 11th grader, and those shifted to 12th grade because we were just one class of each. That was how special that school was, because it was new, it was newly funded, and it was my favorite place, and because of the people mostly, because yeah, those were kind of assholes, but I didn't study with them, so I didn't really care. Towards my graduation, my last year, I was owning the fucking place. I mean, there was no one to pick on me. If anyone would, he would fucking regret it, because I would fucking kick him in the nuts, because that's what I did. If I didn't like someone saying any comments, I would kick them in the nuts. That was my whole school story. I don't know if you're really interested in that, but yeah. Bullying is shitty. Sometimes I would give weird answers to the questions that they would, but I know that sometimes they would mock me, so that's why I would give those weird answers. Sometimes I wouldn't straight away understand that they are mocking me, and that's why I would answer whatever it is, because I was like, I don't understand your question, or whatever, or shit like that. And they would, I don't know, laugh at me. Fuck them. You know what? Fuck everything. School's over. I'm 27. That was 9 years ago. And who gives a fuck? Especially the worst years of school was 12 years ago. So, fuck everyone. You know what was the fun fact? That one of those assholes that was part of that whole shitty situation of the school that I changed before my last one fucking inboxed me and I don't know, tried to flirt with me or sext me or whatever. A dude I used to go to school with, and I think he was 2 or 3 years younger than me. He inboxed me and asked me for a photo of my feet. What the fuck is wrong with people? Oh, for fuck's sake. And I said no to both of them. Because fuck you dudes. Fuck you. I don't really care. I'm a grown up. I don't deal with those problems anymore. And I'm thankful that at the place and time that I am today, and that I have my healthy headspace, and I don't have to deal with assholes if I don't want to. Thank you very much for watching, and fuck all the bullies. Have a nice one. Check out my Instagram, hit the notification bell, and goodbye.